Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Faith and Fandom Feedback Friday for March 7th, 2025. Hope you are all doing well as kind of getting the day going. Um, I am 100% running on some fumes because of my own foolish life choices. Um, I went to go see Rend Collective last night, which was not plan A. It was Desire A, but it was not Plan A. Um, the I've wanted to go see them on tour for a long while. It's been a hot minute since I've seen them, and but I had committed to do Dungeons and Dragons with my friends, and I was like, I'm not gonna be the guy who cancels our committed group time just so I can go to a concert. But then our DM had to cancel for work. Hey, buddy, my dog. Um, our DM had to cancel for work. So I was like, bet I'm going to a concert. It was late night. Let's jump into the news. Got a lot to cover this morning and still got work to do and hours to drive and miles to go and promises to keep before I rest. Um, so starting off with our news, but good morning. You made it to March. Congratulations. Uh, in news that may be changing depending on recent actions, but Katy Perry has signed on with several other uh, celebrities to be aboard a Blue Origin rocket from Jeff Bezos, to be a rocket of all female celebrities heading to space. So, bet that there's going to be a pop anthem coming about space or stars or interstellar travel or something because Katy Perry is going on a rocket. Good morning, Tristan. Good morning, Rivka, and the Birch crew at large. But if Katy Perry has a successful space flight, we're definitely getting a pop anthem about it, and that's totally okay. Um, Means I can stop playing fireworks and roar at events. Um, so that's happening. Uh, Oscar Nunez, who plays Oscar in The Office, has been announced that he will be making a at least cameo, but possibly a recurring role on the Office sequel series, The Paper, which is an upcoming NBC sitcom about a failing newspaper um, in the same world as The Office. So we've got our first official Office tie-in character. Sad news at a recent concert, Billy Joel um, fell and was slightly injured at a recent concert. He is okay-ish, but it's just part of the deal of getting older that this becomes um, part of the rodeo. One of my pastor's fathers uh, fell just getting dressed and broke three ribs and punctured a lung. So it's no joke. Just with the elderly and our balance and everything else, it's totally a thing. Uh, there's been a heated debate back and forth this week with Jon Stewart, host of The Daily Show, and Elon Musk, over the possibility of Elon coming on the show and being a guest. And Elon made the proposal that he'll do it if it can be unedited. And Jon Stewart agreed, but Elon is not following through with it. But I will see how that goes. But that's a would definitely be an entertaining piece of media. Daredevil Born Again premiered this week, in ways that were both exciting and heartbreaking, and I'm still leaving out for spoilers. And do me a favor if you're listening to this or watching this live, leave spoilers out of the comments too, just for the sake of those watching. Um, but notably, in news for Daredevil season two, and again, leave your spoilers out. Okay, okay. Um, Daredevil season two has announced that Matthew Lillard of Scream fame and Scooby fame will be joining the cast of Daredevil season two, but also remember, leave out spoilers. Um, that Foggy and Karen will also be returning for season two. Isn't that special? So do with that information what you will. DoorDash is being sued. No, DoorDash has been sued. And it is now ordered to pay $17 million for the fact that they were pocketing drivers' tips, that the company was pocketing drivers' tips and not telling them or not fully explaining it to them, but they were pocketing drivers' tips to subsidize their own expenses. And now they're forced to pay out an additional $17 million that they basically stole from their drivers. Um, so that sucks. Um, Happy Gilmore 2 will be dropping soonish, and we'll have some more details with that in the report. Um, but PGA Tour 2K25 um, has announced that you will be able to play as Shooter McGavin, the rival and nemesis of Happy Gilmore in the game. So if you want to play as Shooter McGavin, you can do it in the newest game. Uh, Hollywood icon, pop culture celebrity Elvira sold her Tesla in protest of Elon and donated the proceeds to NPR. You know, there are positive ways to protest. Uh, this past weekend, the Elimination Chamber event happened for the WWE, announcing folks that were going to get their path to WrestleMania, as well as some other matches. But the Elimination Chamber took place in Canada. And as you know, we are not on best terms with Canada. But also, who can't get along with Canada? Come on, guys. Um, but we are not on the best terms with Canada right now. And before the Elimination Chamber event started, uh, someone performed the national anthem of America in Canada and was thoroughly booed throughout the entire process. Um, yeah, I don't know if that would have been a smart choice any day of the week, but right now it's definitely a heated option. Harrison Ford has been diagnosed with shingles, which, if you're not familiar, shingles are more than what cover your roof. Shingles are also an adult chicken pox that are very painful. And he was diagnosed with shingles right before the Oscars, which impeded on his ability to do what he does. Back to the Elimination Chamber for a minute. One of the biggest news portions for the weekend was the fact that John Cena turned heel. The legendary good guy, the man who has granted more Make-A-Wish Foundation wishes than any person in history, has turned into the bad guy, which made for infinite amount of memes from every direction. Um, but apparently John Cena sold his soul to The Rock, and now they're doing all the things. So that's totally an option. If you've been following Marvel Comics and any kind of stuff over the past few days, months, weeks, there has been a new Venom around for like the last 3 months, and no one knows the identity of said Venom. Uh, they are looking to announce the host of Venom in Venom number five, which will be coming up in the near future. So, the identity of this new Venom will be revealed very soon. Um, Christian artist, rapper slash pastor slash author Trip Lee was sampled um, for a Fortnite diss track by T-Pain. Fortnite, in a marketing campaign, had T-Pain drop a diss track called Pickle Juice for a new character called Big Dill. And the diss track samples one of Trip Lee's newer songs, Lay Down, from 2023. So T-Pain's officially rocking out to Trip Lee in a Fortnite commercial about a pickle. God bless. There's been news in the con circuit, and that actually directly affects me. Um, Rainn Wilson, star of The Office and a million other nerdy things, slash the best animated Lex Luthor, slash um, all the things, uh, will be coming to GalaxyCon Richmond. If you're also familiar, which is a show I'm going to be at in 3 weeks, and apparently he's going to be there all 4 days. If you're unfamiliar, Rainn Wilson recently wrote a book called Soul Boom, um, kind of a book of spiritual journeying without a lot of direction. He also, for years, has run a website slash blog slash company called Soul Pancake, where it's exploring the need for God, but not always ascribing to traditional routes or beliefs, but the fact that we have a soul and we have a creator and we need to figure out what that means for us. Um, so, if you are a believer slash prayer slash person who is remotely excited about this concept, I am hoping to take um, a copy of Faith and Fandom Book 7, which features Dwight in it, and give him a copy and have a discussion with him about what Faith and Fandom is, and get his thoughts on it, potentially ask him to do the podcast. Um, yeah, it's going to be a good show, Jeff. Jeff Weimer says he can't wait for it. Um, but then I'm also going to ask him to A, attend Geek Church slash B, be involved in Geek Church in some capacity. Um, So this is news-y type stuff for me. And so kind of figuring out the route to this. One thing I've never wanted to do is shoehorn or force celebrities to have to get a gospel pitch from me at a show. But if they're open to a conversation, by golly, I'm going to have that conversation. So add that to your prayer list, your concepts, your vision board, whatever you do. I would love for people to pray for that opportunity to make a good connection there. But yeah, um, and here's one of the neat things is usually at events like this, if there's a celebrity that I'm trying to connect with the books, more often than not, the people who are already at the show who are involved in what I do take the books to get them signed or whatever else before I ever get there. So there's, even when met Ashley Eckstein, who plays Ahsoka, people had taken book 7 to her to get signed or to give to her or whatever before I ever made it to her. So we'll see how this plays out, but 3 weeks to go for that. Um, the world's most popular or biggest Twitch streamer in the world uh, broke off on a side conversation this past week uh, to talk about his faith. The streamer Ninja, who is known, good morning, Lynn. Um, the streamer Ninja, who is known for like his iconic like blue hair and Fortnite as a character and blue being a Fortnite warrior and such, paused his stream to have a conversation with somebody to tell them that Jesus is king, and that he never wants to force that conversation on people, but he's also not going to shy away from it. And you can watch the video of the whole conversation. It is streamed, it is out there, but he takes the time to really go in and uh, actually do more than just say it as a passing statement, but to say why he believes that and why it's important. Um, so that's the thing. Love it when people actually take their opportunities. Colossians 4, 5, and 6 says to make the most of every opportunity, um, redeeming the time. Let your conversation always be full of grace, seasoned with salt. And I think that's a great opportunity. Is like if you're given one, use it. Um, Also, if you watched the world this past week, there was a tumultuous meeting between President Zelensky of Ukraine and the White House. It didn't go smooth. Um, and now we're talking about pausing military aid to the Ukraine after it just was not the ideal way for a conversation to go between a country in need and our government. And hopefully, going to see some peace restored to this. The Academy Awards often do an in memoriam, like a way of honoring actors who have died in the previous year. This year's in memoriam left out a lot of folks that had passed in the past year, including the recently deceased Michelle Trachtenberg, Tony Todd, the star of movies like Candyman and lots of sci-fi things, including Chuck, who he's also one of the main characters in the newly released Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, which was also like an emotional thing of uh, seeing that. But there's a handful of other celebrities who passed in the last year who were not brought up in that discussion. Uh, the Oscars also happened this weekend, the day after the Elimination Chamber, as a lot of celebrities were eliminating their hopes of ever getting an Academy Award. Uh, and a one piece of history that was two pieces of history. One, the uh, Best Costume Design Award for went to Wicked, and marked that the first time an African American man had won that award. Second is Mikey Madison, or Mickey Madison, if I'm saying it incorrectly, became the first ghost faced from Scream to win an Academy Award. So now there's a ghost face who has their own Academy Award. Um, Adrian Brody, who won for Best Actor, um, which makes me sad just because I was hoping for Timothy Chalamet for A Great Unknown, but it is what it is. Um, Adrian Brody was very rude and telling the Academy to turn the music off because he was going to finish his speech. And he said, "This is not my first rodeo. It's not my first time up here. It's not my first win. I know how this goes. I'll keep it brief." He stated that and then delivered the single longest acceptance speech in Academy Awards history, coming in at almost 6 minutes. He said, "I'll keep it brief," and then delivered the longest Academy Award speech ever. So there you go. For all of you who have pastors or are pastors that say just one more point and then go on for another 20 minutes while your congregation slowly dies inside. Um, Dolly Parton's husband, Carl Dean, passed away this week. Hugging my kid because I'm going on the road. Um, and well, because I can hug my kid anytime 'cause I'm good. It's cool like that. Carl Dean, Dolly Parton's husband, passed away at age 82. Other actors and actresses that were left out of the in memoriam this year, uh, Olivia Hussey, who I actually don't know who she is, so there's that. But Shannon Doherty from 90210 and Mallrats fame was left out. Bernard Hill, who is was a key figure in the Lord of the Rings films, and Ken Page, who played Oogie Boogie in The Nightmare Before Christmas, were all folks that were left out of the in memoriam. The world's tallest roller coaster was demolished this week. So now, which resets the records for all other roller coaster height situations. Um, there was a potential gunfire outbreak at a Texas cheerleading competition but no gun or shooter was actually found. They believe it could have just been noise caused by parents, but either way, um, yeah. Another actor that passed away this week, in that news is uh, the actor who brought us the voice of Space Ghost from Space Ghost Coast to Coast and all of the other pop culture things. He was a delightful person, and I talked to him at several events and was, at shows with him many a time. And the Space Ghost cartoon and the subsequent album, Space Ghost Musical Barbecue, were one of my favorite things as a teenager. And I still know all the words to all of the stupid songs on it. Um, yeah. The world's smartest man, Christopher Langan, who is got a higher IQ than Albert Einstein. Um, his IQ ranges between 190 and 210. Um, in a recent interview, someone asked Langan what was the key to life, and Langan went on to give a full synoptic discussion on the fact that the key to life is to seek God. And even though he's the smartest person in the world and that he has the highest IQ in the world, um, that for him, that the smartest thing we can do, the biggest thing we can do is to seek God. And that's, definitely a win. Again, another Colossians 4, 5, and 6 moment of using the opportunities you're given. So that's a big deal. Disney has scrapped, canceled, a TV series for Princess and the Frog. Princess and the Frog was in production of having its own Disney Plus follow-up series for Tiana, and it has officially been thrown away, um, which does happen. And Disney has been cutting a lot of um, potentially hazardous corners of revenue lately. Um, and they did that with Princess and the Frog as well. Is the Okoye show, the Moon Knight show, um, and a lot of other things that are potentially hazardous for their outcomes. There is a new movie coming to HBO Max. Um, the title is unknown, but it is a movie from the creator of the TV show Succession, starring Steve Carell, Jason Schwartzman, and a few other folks. But it's got snow, is all I know on the script. And probably one of the most horrendous pieces of news, um, and crime and violence and stuff. And so maybe steal your hearts here for a second. Nine missing students, uh, who were, reported missing for a while. Their bodies were found dismembered with all of their heads assembled in a bag. And something that seems like a horror movie slash gangland attack slash gone wrong, but it's pretty horrendous. And that's where we're at. So, yeah, eesh. Mm. But they were found in Mexico City. So, some believe it's related to drug cartel stuff. Um, yeah, but that's totally a thing. Um, Pixar has made news a handful of times now with their new animated series, Win or Lose. Um, Originally, it made news because it removed a scene that could be potentially, uh, what's the right word? It could be potentially controversial in terms of a child identifying as a trans character. They removed that. Um, Then there was the fact they're being sued by Portland's baseball team over the icon, the logo, the marketing, because there's a Portland team called the Portland Pickles. Hey Kelly, good morning, dude. Um, Now it's also in the news for the fact it is Disney's first since 1996 and Pixar's first ever openly Christian prayer in one of their works. In the most recent episode of Win or Lose, there's a very openly clear Christian prayer, and it's the first one for Pixar ever, and the first one for Disney in 30 years. Is that right? 30? Yeah, 30 years. Forget how old I am. Um, Beyond that, the show's actually getting a lot of great results and reviews. So maybe it's worth checking out in that capacity. But yeah, that was a thing. Uh, in delightful news this week, uh, someone managed to pull up behind Rupert Grint, aka Ron Weasley, at a gas station and began to record Rupert Grint uh, getting gas at his car. Rupert noticed the fact that he was being recorded, made some faces to the people recording, then pulled the nozzle out of the gas pump, held it in the air, and screamed out, "Expensive petroleum!" And then went on about pumping his gas. Oh, and it's just like, little things you could do to give people some joy. By golly, that's one of those. They're not forgetting that. Um, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and 4 was announced for a remake this week. Um, and will be a Tristan saw the expensive petroleum one. Yeah, good dude. Um, they announced that there will be a remake for Tony Hawk 3 and 4, and they'll be combined together. Lots of combo stuff with that. Happy Gilmore will release on Netflix on July 25th. So if you are a part of my world, that's like GalaxyCon week. We'll be dropping Happy Gilmore 2, which out of all the unnecessary sequels in the world, I'm actually excited about this one. Um, just because I feel like Adam Sandler is very aware of himself. Uh, the trailer for the 2021 canceled CW pilot for the Powerpuff Girls was leaked online and then has been in a constant battle of hiding it since being leaked. Um, and I saw some snippets of it before it was gone and seeing some of the imagery of it. But I'm gonna tell you, after reading the plot breakdown of the pilot, man, we didn't just dodge a bullet. We dodged a whole string of Neo like bullets from the Matrix. Um, this thing looked like a radioactive dumpster fire. Um, while I was actually excited about the concept of the show for my daughters. Um, because my kids do have a very Powerpuff Girls dynamic. Um, yeah. But the show premise was basically uh the girls accidentally killed a scientist named Mojo and return years later to Townsville as really jacked up young ladies to face Mojo's son Jojo. Um, and the pilot featured the fact that Bubbles had a drinking problem, uh, and there was lots of cursing and crude references, and I don't know, man. I don't think we ever needed this. Like, if somebody wants to make a live action faithful adaptation of the Powerpuff Girls. I'm so there for that because I think that could be done well. But what the CW was bringing us was not it. Not it at all. Um, The Weeknd, the musician, uh, famous for "Can't Feel My Face When I'm With You" and uh, Blinding Lights, went on to do an interview with Relevant Magazine this week about his faith journey, where he states, "My relationship with God is even stronger than ever. I find comfort in his presence when I need it most. I talk to him constantly. It's been a long journey, but I'm here." So the weekend goes into detail about his testimony of what God means to his life. So if you want to check that out, you can head over to Relevant Magazine, to their Instagram, Facebook, wherever that's there. Do do do. Um, Marvel announced this week that um, Robert Downey Jr. is writing his own backstory for his Doctor Doom. So the official canon story of their Doctor Doom for the upcoming Marvel film is actually being written by Robert Downey Jr. because he's so invested in what he's doing with this. If you're not aware that this is a thing, you can now be aware of it. Taco Bell has a like annual conference where they talk about what they're doing and why you should be hype about it. And if you're an influencer and you're cool or whatever else, you get invited to the big Taco Bell party so you can be excited about things. I'm not that cool yet, but Taco Bell, if you're trying to invite a brother, I will go to your taco fiesta and I will be honest and sincere and grateful. Just saying. If y'all know some people at corporate Taco Bell, look us up. But Taco Bell at their big shindiggery this past week revealed some new items and some things that are coming up with the fact that there is going to be a new purple Baja Blast called Baja Midnight that will be coming. One very interesting thing is that there is going to be an item called the Queso Crisp, which will be a hard shell taco where the entire taco shell is made of cheese. My body hurts reading that sentence, but it also yearns for it. There's also a new purple hot sauce that will be coming. That the people who were invited to the shindig had to sign a waiver before they tried it because it was so hot. So whatever this is, it's going to be hotter than the Diablo sauce, which the Diablo sauce isn't honestly that hot, but the Taco Bell shindig is was a real deal. Um, you can start expecting to see results of the tariffs that are going on back and forth from our country in the near future, with Walmart already planning to adjust prices. Um, should we really be drinking liquid? Jeff Weimer says, should we really be drinking liquids with colors that don't occur in nature? Blueberries are purple, bro. Blueberries are purple, or at least they're and lavender. There's that. Um, Good morning, Joshua. Um, but Nintendo has announced that ways that the tariffs are going to impact future things, as well as most of the video game industry, especially on consoles and physical copies of games. Walmart has announced that prices will be going up within the week, reflecting the tariffs. So just be aware. If you are a Roblox player or love a Roblox player or want to become a Roblox player, they have announced a Ready Player One-esque style competition where players can win $1 million in the 2025 The Hunt Mega Edition. So in Roblox game, for all the right qualifications, you can win $1 million in the Hunt Mega Edition. So I don't know that I would willingly play Roblox for less than $1 million. I got nothing against it. I just don't got the bandwidth or time for that. Um, Trey Jemison III, player for the LA Lakers, um, is leading an online Bible study on his Instagram, um, where he's been doing devotionals on a regular basis with people who follow his Instagram and interacting with them and doing that. Um, and he's been taking it to serious ways in that. So that's pretty cool. Um, Again, using your opportunities and your platforms. Only Murders in the Building season 5 is adding comedic legend Keegan Michael Key to the series. The oldest living Holocaust survivor died this year at the age of 113. She survived Nazi occupation for 9 months while pregnant and now has passed away. Um, there was a debacle slash debate over how a airline from Qatar Airways handled um, a situation, and they think they handled it as best as they could have. When they realized that there was a dead body in the seat next to a couple for several hours of a flight. Um, that halfway through the flight, someone realized that the body next to them had passed away. And rather than, moving and doing a whole big thing, they just put a blanket over them. Needless to say, the couple next to them who had nowhere to go in their seats were very unhappy with the scenario. Um, Near India, um, an avalanche buried 57 workers uh, with just a giant stampede of snow, and process was working to retrieve them. This We are just under 2 months away from Skype shutting down forever. The internet trailblazer for video communication that could have been Zoom um, will be shutting down officially on May 5th. And will be all aspects of the company will be taken over by Microsoft Teams. So that is coming. Pope Francis has been in uh a steady stream of health issues and situations with like two critical respiratory issues just within a week's time. He was placed on a ventilator. Now he's off. And so folks are continually praying for him. And it's been a rough road for the leader of the Catholic Church there. Uh, a FedEx aircraft burst into flames midair um, without any cause yet determined. And one of the things that you always, see as like TV show and movie plots, two window washers were left dangling from a broken scaffolding in New York City this week as the scaffolding broke within them and they were left being suspended solely by their safety lines. But they were hanging by their safety lines. So that's also good. If you're a part of our area or you watch the news, you know that the South Carolina region directly beneath where I live, coming into some of my area, um, has been engulfed in wildfires, including some of my Khan family was affected by these fires very badly, to some of them having were close enough to the fires that the vinyl siding on their house melted, but their house didn't burn. Um, People that do like my little church con and everything. So it was a lot. Grateful for the rain and everything that came after it. Um, but yeah, it's been a lot on that road. Uh, and an interesting political move. I guess it's not that interesting, but that's just something I guess would have never thought of. President Trump made English the official language of the U.S. for the first time since the country was founded. And I found that interesting that the entire time we've been a country, English has never been the official language. So that's just I find that interesting. Um, so there you go. Um, let's see. There was a terrorist attack in Germany this week as a SUV rammed into local pedestrians. Um, and the suspect was later apprehended, and there was a note and lots of dramatic stuff with that. But it was rough. Mhm. Mhm. The governor of Texas. Oh, this is a bless your heart situation, but also I get it. The governor of Texas is making an official plea to rename a steak. The governor of Texas officially wants the strip steak to be revoked of the name New York strip steak and be dubbed the Texas strip steak. Um, for political reasons, but also pride reasons. But yeah, the governor of Texas is officially making a plea to do that. And I don't know who would make that authority. Whose judgment call does that there's going to be some decree passed down. Henceforth, we will know this as the Texas strip. Not who's doing that. Who's governing steak names. Um, but either way, he's making a plea for that. Uh, if you're familiar, a Japanese woman in her 50s, I don't know if we really talked about this, but kissed a Korean K-pop star named Jin at a concert. This happened a long time ago, um, but she is now actually being summoned by police and brought to legal blows over the situation. But yeah, but total in my region, there were 175 wildfires that were individually burning through those things. Um, in a Illinois wedding scenario of nightmarish proportions, a bride and groom learned that their entire home exploded during their wedding and that it was one of the wedding guests who were involved there who were responsible for it with negligent behavior. But they blew up somebody's house during their own wedding, so that's fun. The stock market had a really rough week, if you pay attention to that. At least three Serbian lawmakers were injured as smoke bombs and flares were thrown into parliament. And one parliament official later suffered a stroke from this situation. Yeah, it was a rough scenario, and obviously, I think the people intended it not to be a lethal or necessarily violent crime, but it definitely turned into one. The suspect who was responsible for the Germany terrorist attack left a pretty horrifying note attached to the dashboard just to make sure it was found in case he didn't survive. We are at now the highest rate of UK citizenship applications from Americans, basically since the country was founded. So that's a thing. Um, yep. Former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo is now running for mayor. And if you're not familiar, he did not end his service well. Yeah. Um, India's bathing festival, which is considered one of the largest religious festivals in the world, concludes this week. But this ceremony of purity and holiness and enlightenment also left dozens of fatalities from people being trampled to death, dehydration, and starvation, and also left almost immeasurable amounts of sewage in the river that they were bathing in, um, and basically kind of turned into a fiasco um, from a logistics standpoint. This week, a joint military effort between South Korea and America accidentally dropped a bomb in South Korea during a military exercise. 8 people were injured. Apparently, no one was killed. But this also took place just miles from the North Korean border, meaning that if had this happened a few moments sooner, we would be knee deep in some scary conflicts. Uh, the best friend of 3 Kansas City Chiefs fans who were found frozen to death in a backyard after a party have been arrested, alongside another man. Ricky Johnson, David Harrington, and Clayton McGeeney were last seen alive during the final regular season Chiefs game on January 7th, a full 2 days before their bodies were discovered. Um, but apparently, Jordan Willis, a 39-year-old scientist, locked his friends outside of the house over a dispute over the game and left his friends outside and they froze to death. So that's horrible. Bodybuilder Jody Vance died at the age of 20 after suffering from severe dehydration. Um, Especially in things like weightlifting and stuff like that, people will dehydrate themselves to be able to have a better appearance for competition, but it's obviously a tragedy that it goes down like this. Um, a woman who was abducted as a toddler in 1999 has been found 27 years later. That's just crazy. It took that long. There was a moment this week that was definitely a sweet moment, but was also met with a lot of vitriol depending on which side of political things you were on. As a young man with brain cancer was announced as a Secret Service agent. And listen, I say this all the time, and I'm gonna say it until I'm blue in the face. Um, we should rejoice with those who rejoice and mourn with those who mourn, and this is a chance to bless a kid, and we need to celebrate that. The end. So drop all other associations. I think that's worth celebrating. Um, yeah. And a dumb, dumb piece of pop culture. Um, a Pokemon shaped Cheeto sells for uh a total of $87,000. A There was a flaming hot Cheeto that roughly resembled a Charizard. Uh, it had 60 bitters and went for a price of $72,000 plus $15,000 in fees. So somebody spent almost 90 grand on a flaming hot Cheeto that looks like a Charizard. One of my church congregants actually sent me a message to say, "Was this you?" that bought it. Um, but no, not on what y'all pay me. Um, Elon Musk commented this week that the U.S. Postal Service and Amtrak should be privatized. Also, no, don't do that. Um, Christian says PSA 10. I'm not sure if I know that reference, Christian or Christopher. Um, yeah. Mobile Suit Gundam has a new series which will arrive on Prime Video on April 8th. It's called, and I'm not kidding, Mobile Suit Gundam GQ. It's a GQ with one, two, three, four, five, six U's and an X, which I think is the sound a Mobile Suit Gundam makes when it boots up. Like G. Um, and one Daredevil note that's not a spoiler because remember we're not dropping Daredevil spoilers on here. Um, be on the lookout during some of the scenes in Daredevil Born Again because if you pay attention, you'll get to see that Rogers the musical, the Avengers play that was made notable during the Hawkeye TV series, is also still playing in Daredevil Born Again. Um, oh, yeah, sorry. I suck at grading things, so I've never actually gotten a card graded. I have a graded card. I have a peak or no, Magikarp that's graded. But yeah, sorry. I my brain was slow on that one. Um, as our world has been filled with horrible concept reboot horror movies of beloved childhood franchises like Popeye and Mickey Mouse and Winnie the Pooh, the next horror children's franchise that's about to drop is Bambi the Reckoning about a killer deer. So that's a thing. The Dexter Resurrection series has more stars than it knows what to do with. If you've been paying attention, people keep joining this Dexter Resurrection series for reasons I just don't understand. I get it, but I don't get it why it's got so many stars. But Kristen Ritter, who plays Jessica Jones, has joined the Dexter Resurrection series, and Neil Patrick Harris has also joined the Dexter Resurrection series. There are just so many people. You got Julia Stiles in this thing. Um, there's just everybody up as in here. Marvel has now done a partnership with Magic the Gathering. So if you need another reason to buy collectible cards or things from Marvel, you now have it. The main character for the TV series Shogun, Cosmo Jarvis, who played the Navigator in Shogun, will be joining Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey, which Christopher Nolan stated is that this movie will have everybody except Robert Downey Jr., but only because Robert Downey Jr. was busy. And maybe the most interesting piece of news I saw this week, um, there's going to be a WWE D&D show where WWE wrestlers will uh basically do a Dungeons and Dragons campaign style adventure. And it's called Titan Takedown. Um, and the first promo shot for the series features the New Day, Chelsea Green, and Bailey. Um, and I will watch this. I'm in. I will sit there and watch wrestlers play D&D because that sounds interesting. Um, Marvel has already hit the Magic the Gathering world, and now it's being advertised that another famous franchise will be hitting it really soon with Avatar: The Last Airbender releasing a Magic the Gathering series coming this November. So that's a thing. Taco Bell, again, I'm talking about you. Hit me up, homies. Um, Taco Bell is offering wedding packages in Las Vegas for $777. If you would like Taco Bell to decorate, theme, and cater your wedding, you can get it for less than $1,000. Just saying, that's a steal. The upcoming sequel trilogy to the sequel trilogy for Star Wars that's being directed and made by Sean Levy will take place 5 or 6 years after the events of Rise of Skywalker. Kelly, that does sound dope. I'd say about like yeah, that does. Now, Kelly, were you talking about the wrestling D&D or the Taco Bell thing? Because if you're doing a vow renewal in Vegas, I'll totally go have a Taco Bell vow renewal with you and King. Just saying. Uh, this week, SpaceX successfully caught a booster that returned, um, but the Starship spacecraft was lost. SpaceX's spacecraft explodes mid-flight for a second time, so they've actually gotten okay at catching the boosters that return, but they've blown up two spacecraft, so it's not encouraging. Okay, Kelly says the WWE. Um, Jason Isaac, who played Lucius Malfoy in the Harry Potter series, is now playing a main character on the current season of White Lotus. And this is notable for me and for my region because the family that this man is supposed to be a part of is supposed to be from Durham, North Carolina. Um, and Jason Isaacs, who is, UK descent, and American is not his typical vibe, is being roasted on the internet for having the worst accent in any TV production in years. But he's defending it, and the show is defending it by saying it is uh spot on for Durham. Paris Green, shalom, man. So I don't know if you've watched it or you've seen it or if you've heard it, but I will say that I was thrown off by like, what is this man doing initially? But then once they said that they were from Durham, I'm like, okay, that kind of tracks. But it is weird hearing Lucius Malfoy talk like he smoked Marlboros. It's a weird thing. China made a statement this week warning that they are ready for any type of war with America, whether that be over tariffs or physical. Um, Apparently, there is new evidence this week that Jim Morrison did fake his death. There was a 2023 um, film called Nefarious, which was effectively described as a Christian horror movie that starred Boondock Saints Sean Patrick Flannery, about spiritual warfare. And there's a sequel coming called Nefarious 2. Um, yeah. Chris Tomlin apparently orchestrated and scored and provided the music for the upcoming The Last Supper movie. And he thinks people are going to love it. Um, it's been 5 years now, since uh, hosts Rhett and Link made a almost 4 hour long denouncement of Christianity and the gospel and the Bible and things in general. It's been almost 5 years now since they did that. Um, Paris Green says Nefarious was a good movie. Cool, man. Um, and they after, if you're not aware, Rhett and Link were originally very evangelical Christians. In fact, I served with them in Campus Crusade, doing ministry around like 2006. Um, and Then, after moving to Hollywood, success and all the things, they denounced Christianity very publicly 5 years ago with like a 4 hour long podcast on it, um, where they gave their story and what made them turn away from God and everything else. 5 years later, they revisit the concept to say they still believe they made the right choice and they think hell is stupid and it's not real and it's just a human construct mechanism to keep people in line for Christianity. Um, so yeah, that happened. Um, According to the pacemaker found in Gene Hackman, it indicates that they may have been dead for more than a week before um, he was found. The author of the book Wicked, which is the inspiration for the musical, has announced that he is making a prequel called Elfie about Elphaba's childhood and formative years. And let me just make this clear. If you enjoyed the Wicked musical, please understand that the Wicked book is a bit more buck wild than the musical. I sold the Wicked book when I was working in Walden Books as a teenager, and it is not the same vibe per se. So just be aware. Um, Steve Carell, um, being a good dude, announced that he uh, hosted a free prom for LA students who were impacted by the wildfires. So the students whose homes and schools and lives were kind of shut down by the wildfires, he's hosting a free prom for them, um, which I think is sweet. I did went through similar things with kids who were impacted by the flooding in my region at one point in time. Um, so that is it for our news, and I'm going to take a moment and do our Roll for Initiative Bible reading. Just a couple faith and fandom announcements just to let you know of. Um, there is a new chapter out online, and hopefully, depending on my scheduling for the next week, there will be two more chapters dropping online this week too. Not necessarily new content because they're Geek Church services transcribed, but there's two more chapter contents coming, and still with the goal of having uh, book 10 ready for June, May or June, hopefully. Got three new sticker designs. Did one of the blue shell from Mario Kart with the scripture of Matthew 26:10. It says, the last shall be first, or the last will be first, and the first will be last. Um, that one's fun. Made this one specifically uh, from my fun times with my D&D party, but also because I'm sure other people enjoyed as well, of a D&D vibe of rolling with my homies with some Dungeons and Dragons and dice with a dragon in the background. Like you can see the dragon. He's like kind of like a faint thing in the background. It's not like super prominent. I didn't want it to overtake the text, but there's totally a dragon flying in the background. And then this quote from the 12th Doctor. Um, Never be cruel, never be cowardly. Remember, hate is always foolish, love is always wise. Always try to be nice, but never fail to be kind. With the Doctor's sunglasses, guitar, and spoon. And if you don't recognize the spoon, you can go back to season 8 because that was fun. Also, I want to give a shout out, and I'm going to tag them on Instagram later. Um, Celebrate D20. I am sorry for being 3 months late to the party. But Celebrate D20 sent me a Christmas card and a really cool sticker of a dragon and Christmas lights. Um, but I didn't get it until March, because it went to my church's weird PO box instead of my address. And Parish Green says need to do one by Felicia. Yeah. So thank you, Celebrate D20, for sending me cool stickers. Um, So new chapter is out, some new stickers. I will be at I'm leaving sometime today to go to Wilkesboro, North Carolina. I've got a con there tomorrow. Um, and then I'm also leaving the con to go to the John Foreman concert in Rocky Mount, Virginia. So if I know anybody in the Rocky Mount area, holler at your boy. We can have a crisp high five. I'll give you a sticker. But beyond that, Wilkesboro Comic Con this weekend. Next weekend is Power Comic Con in Florence. And 2 weeks after that is GalaxyCon Richmond. So all of those things coming up real fast. All right. Let's roll for initiative, and then I'm going to go to work, do my muggle job for 3.5 hours today. Ready for this crisp sound? Here's some ASMR for you. Nice. All right, here we go. We need 3d20. This guy, this guy, and this guy. And we need a d10, which is this guy. All right. So we're rolling to see which book of the Bible we're reading. We're rolling four dice because there's 66 books in the Bible. Um, so there's 60 up to on a dice right here, and then this goes to 70 because we need to be able to remove four so that we can hit the first four books of the Bible because otherwise we couldn't start until like the fourth book. So we're gonna roll four dice, subtract four, and that's the book of the Bible we'll read. We got a four. I'll make math notes. Do do do. We got a four. Let's get out of the way. 14. Hey yo, 14 again. That's serendipitous. And here we go. A 10. Okay. So 42 minus 4 means we are in the 38th book of the Bible. Hey, Parrish, we'd love for you and Brittany to make your way this way, or for me to make it back down there. Actually, one of the guys who speaks at my church is down in your town right now for a like ladies basketball tournament. He's a athletic trainer, and they're in Columbus, Georgia for a like women's basketball thing, which is why I could go to a Ren Collective concert last night instead of doing D&D. So we're in the 38th book of the Bible, which means we are in Zechariah. And Zechariah, let's see how many chapters you got. Oh, we've actually landed on Zechariah before. That's fun. Zechariah is 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Zechariah has 14 chapters, so we're just going to roll a d20 and shoot for whatever comes under the 14. 12. We're going to read Zechariah chapter 12. Of course, it's Old Testament violence. Here we go. Every time I'm shooting for like some encouragement, like bam, Israel's enemies must be destroyed. Oh, where's a highlighter when you need one? My pencil pouch with all my stuff is not readily available. That's okay. We'll roll with what we've got. All right. I did see a marker here, so we can just take some notes with that. I should have sat down with a pen. It was a long day. Oh, here's a funky pen. Okay, cool. All right. Yeah, it was Ren Collective, and it was exactly what I needed. Um, their song "Fight of My Life" has been my favorite song of 2025. Not there's been a lot of songs in 2025, but "Fight of My Life" has absolutely been my whole soul. Um, lately, they described it as the most upbeat song about depression ever, and I literally just wanted to go see them for that purpose to hear that song live, and it didn't disappoint. But my kids also had a fantastic time, which I'm here for every day. Um, Zechariah chapter 12, uh, title or subtitle, Israel's or Jerusalem's enemies to be destroyed. A prophetic word of the Lord concerning Israel. The Lord who stretches out the heavens, who has laid the foundation of the earth, who has forms the human spirit within a person, declares. I'm just gonna make a note of that. That these things are created as like what he's known as. He stretches out the heavens, he lays the foundation, and forms the human spirit within a person. I feel that that's important to note are all in the same descriptive, these are what I'm here for. These are who I am statements about God. Um, I am going to make Jerusalem a cup that sends all the surrounding peoples reeling. Judah will be besieged as well as Jerusalem. On that day, when all the nations of the earth are gathered against her, I will make Jerusalem an immovable rock for all the nations. All the nations of the earth are gathered against her. Hmm. All who try to move it will injure themselves. On that day, I will strike every horse with panic and its rider with madness, declares the Lord. I will keep a watchful eye over Judah, but I will blind all the horses of the nations. Then um, the clans of Judah will say in their hearts, "The people of Jerusalem are strong, but the Lord our God, because the Lord God Almighty is theirs." On that day, I will declare, I will make the clans of Judah like a fireproof woodpile, like a flaming torch among sheaves. They will consume all the surrounding peoples left and right, but Jerusalem will remain intact in her place. The Lord will save the dwelling of Judah first, so that the honor of the house of David and Jerusalem's inhabitants may not be greater than that of Judah. On that day, the Lord will shield those who live in Jerusalem, so that the feeble amongst them will be like David, and the house of David will be like God, like the angel of the Lord going before them. On that day, I will set out to destroy all the nations that attack Jerusalem, mourning for the one they pierced, and I will pour out on the house of David and the inhabitants of Jerusalem a spirit of grace and supplication. They will look on me, the one they have pierced. They will mourn for him as one for an only child, and grieve bitterly for him as he grieves for the firstborn son. On that day, the weeping in Jerusalem will be great as the weeping of Hadad Rimmon in the plain of Megiddo. The land will mourn, each clan by itself, and with their wives by themselves. The clan of the house of David and their wives, the clan of the house of Nathan and their wives, the clan of the house of Levi, their wives, the clan of the house of Shimei, their wives, and the rest of the clans and their wives. Um, I'm gonna go ahead and read 13, just because it's interesting and it's short. On that day, a fountain will be opened to the house of David and the inhabitants of Jerusalem to cleanse themselves from sin and impurity. On that day, I will banish the names of the idols from the land, and they will be remembered no more, declares the Lord God Almighty. I will remove both the prophets and the spirit of impurity from the land. And if anyone still prophesies, their father and mother to whom they were born will say to them, "You must die because you have told lies in the Lord's name." Ah! Um, it's funny. That's not funny, but I love the delivery there. You must die because you have told lies in the Lord's name. And their own parents will stab the one who prophesies. Cheese and crackers. Um, Verse 7. Awake, sword against my, or hold on now, I skipped some. On that day, every prophet will be ashamed of their prophetic vision. They will not put on a prophet's garment of hair or in order to deceive. Each will say, I am not a prophet, I am a farmer. The land has been my livelihood since my youth. If anyone asks, what are these wounds on your body? They will answer, the wounds I was given at the house of my friends. Um, Verse 7 says, Awake, sword against my shepherd, against the man who is close to me, declares the God Almighty. Strike the shepherd, and the sheep will be scattered, and I will turn my hand against the little ones. And the whole land, declares the Lord, two-thirds will be struck down and perish, yet one-third will be left to it. This third I will put into the fire. I will refine them like silver and test them like gold. They will call on my name, and I will answer them. They are my people, and they will say, The Lord is our God. Hmm. So just something out of that and simple notion of uh not everyone is going to want to claim to be a messenger for God because it's going to come with heavy consequence and that people are going to struggle and there are going to be people that fall away, but the ones who remain, God is going to actually purify and use and be able to bring redemption through. So that is a lot though. But I think it's hilarious that it says, hey, if your kid at this point in time, we're done with all this, with these messages and these prophecies. And if your kid says I'm a prophet, you stab them. It didn't say kill him, but it said stab them. And I'm just like, man, the Old Testament was ruthless. Actually, the New Testament is ruthless. But I'm bummed. Um, yeah, that's it for news and a little scripture reading. Um, so gonna get ready, go do my muggle job so I can come back and load up and go do some faith and fandom stuff. Before I go, I want to take a moment to thank our Patreon supporters and y'all for being just as dope as you are. Um, I've got about as many dice as my bag can hold. All right. Let's take a moment. I want to thank our Patreon supporter. Uh, Rivka and Tristan Birch, Dorothy Martin, Michelle Stewart, Lynn Turner, David Brooks, Jeff Weimer, and Jeff, thank you, dude. Um, Yeah. Colin Sproles, Jamie Montgomery, the Coleman family, Jonathan Herman, Ron Petit, Gear Saber Cosplay, Scott Ward, Alicia Glenn, Jace Sheed, Jason Crutchfield, Mike Perna, Todd Turner, John Jacobs, Zach Harris. John, I ain't seen you in forever, dude. I know your job is dumb. Like, I miss you. Zach Harris, uh, Caleb Grimm, Jeanette Skaggs, Jason Bullock, Christina Ray, Sarah Lewis, Patrick Gale, Rebecca Godlove, Adam Davis. Thank you all for your support, for your encouragement, for being all the things you've done. And I feel like we got to do some really cool things last week, and I'm looking forward to see what God does this week. And I hope y'all have a great day. And I will talk to you soon, and hopefully, loving blessings to you too, Parish. Um, and hope to see you guys next week with some good news. I will talk to you later. Have a great day.